Hey, good morning, Fisherman Barry here. Well, I thought I'd try something a little bit different today and go over just a few of the little hacks and sort of hints and tips on the kayak that I found useful over the years. And I did a video a few years back of some of the mods. So basically just an update on that and a few things that I found really useful. The first thing is this little bench. It's not real sturdy, but it doesn't need to be. It's got some high density foam on top, and I like it down low because it allows you to get down and reach inside of the kayak really easy. If the kayak's sitting too high, it makes it more difficult to be reaching in the, if you need to run wires or whatever you have to do on the inside. And at this height, it makes it really easy. It basically just roll the kayak wheels until they bump up against it and then set it down, and that takes the weight off of everything, because you don't want to deform this. I've seen some fails online where guys left they got some boondock wheels here and they left it on the wheels, and it basically just tears this stuff up after it sits long enough. So you don't want to do that. Anyway, that makes it easy, a little platform for washing it and working on it and that. I got a few other things I'm going to show you when I get it back on the trailer. But I want to show you what I did to the trailer first, because that's the biggest modification I've made. So I previously had, so I have this little Malone Micro Sport trailer, and I used to have the cradles that Hobie sells you. But I never really liked them because they sit this way, and that means you're pulling the boat on perpendicular to them. It can be a pain, and the cradles are some sort of like plastic or fiberglass, and eventually they crack and break up. So there's a lot of videos online about installing, I think it's 2.5-inch PVC, or I don't know, maybe it's 4-inch, whatever. I'll look for the links and put them in there. I'm not going to go over building that, but what I do want to do is show you one thing that I did that I found really useful, because the Hobie Pro Angler sits on this really nice because of the way the hull is shaped. This sort of fits in the two indentations. This sort of fits in the two indentations on the bottom really nice, and it slides right up. These holes here, they seem to go to nowhere, but they're really important actually for trailering the kayak. And I'll show you that when I put the kayak on here in a second. This is called U-channel, I think, and it comes with these little spring threaded clips. So you just put some stainless steel hardware to bolt it on there. I had to raise the front a little bit to get this flush. And the back, I didn't need that. So that's the PVC slide. It makes it really super simple. For one thing, it lowers the boat, which makes it easier getting it on and off. It slides on and off, right in the water or at the water's edge, much easier than the cradles from Hobie. And this stuff's a whole lot cheaper than the cradles from Hobie too. So I'm going to move the kayak over here and slide it on and show you a couple of the little tricks that I did to stabilize this when you're driving down the road, or pulling it up out of the water for that matter. I made a little mark. In fact, now is probably a good time to talk about this. I put this little protection on here. It's another piece. This is a 2.5-inch PVC. I think this is a 4-inch probably, but and I'll put the link to the video in there. This worked out really good. You just cut it and heat it up and sort of mold it to the front, and it gives you some protection for hitting rocks and things. So I put a little mark on it so I know where this should sit. All right, so here's one hack. One thing I noticed is that when you're taking this in and out of the water, it will slide really easily on this, and you don't want your kayak sliding off and fall into the ground when you're not there. And you can strap it down really tight, but this just makes it a lot easier. I basically just found the scupper holes here, marked it and drilled through, and that goes right in and comes right through the pipe, and then now the thing is sitting there pretty secure. Of course, I'll put some straps on it when I drive down the road. I got a little bungee thing that I clip around here to here, so that'll make that easier. Anyway, that's the first hack. It's a lot easier loading and unloading the kayak now. Second, I guess I'll mention I got these little cable organizers, sort of Velcro, and they stick on to here. You can keep things out of the way. I keep my fillet knife right here. Makes it easy if I need to get to it. Got one there for that. Another hack I did on the front, I'm going to show you the batteries. I made a little platform here for my, I got a Torpedo, and so the battery will sit here. The cabling is all right here. And then of course the motor drops in there, and the controller and all that connects up here, sits right here. This is for I have a little Fugu Bluetooth speaker. I can clip it on here if I want to listen to it. I don't usually play it while I'm fishing, but if I have a half an hour trip back to the dock or something, I might turn it on, and I can take phone calls through that too. Just connects to my iPhone. All right, well, this is the battery for the Torpedo, and it just sits right here. It keeps it in, and if I'm using the pedals, I can fit the motor. I can kind of slide it in and fit it right on top here, and the controller and everything is in a little pouch. Put it in there, cabling's here, hooks up to that. So that works really nice, and this battery is, I'm going to say, at full speed, I can probably get 6 to 7 miles out of it. So it comes in really handy at the end of the day when I'm tired. Just switch over to the motor and head back to the dock. So that's that. The other hack I got was, and I'll put links to all of this if you're interested, from a company online. This is a little bracket for dual 17.5 ampere lithium batteries from an Australian company. And this is kind of nifty the way it works. It just connects here. Connect to both of these. And then this just drops down in there like that. You close your hatch up. And that battery powers my my sonar unit, which is here. I have a Lowrance Elite TI7, and also my LED lights. Oh, I'm gonna have to look at the wiring for that. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Got it. You notice I got these little covers on the ends here. I was having a bit of trouble with this one. I replaced the original because it was all green. I wanted to, make them navigational, so I went with a red on the port side here. But I needed to cover these up. I filled it with some goop because the wind and things kept catching that and pulling it off. I haven't had as much trouble with the other side, a little bit, but not too bad. These were a little bit heavier duty. And so that works really well when it's low light in the evening, or if I get there really early in the morning. It gives me some white light on the inside to work from, and then high visibility on the outside. So that's that. The other one I mentioned is for the Lowrance, which mounts right here. Here's all the cabling. Another one of those cable organizers just to keep this out of the way. I made this myself. It's just one of the little Hobie plates, and I sort of cut down a little rod holder because I didn't want it sticking up too high. And okay, well, anyway, this is a rod holder. So when you're out fishing and you need to like get the fish off the hook or whatever, or you're moving across the lake from one point to another, you just drop the rod you're using right here and it gets it out of the way, but still easily accessible. Okay, so that's those hacks. One other thing I did, you notice I rerouted this bungee cord. I've got the Hobie crate, the large one, and that sits right here really well, but the little clips that they give you are a real pain getting on and off here and here, and also tightening them down. They just don't work very well, and I find them, you know, just getting in the way most of the time. So all I did was reroute this to leave this all open. The normal way would be to have it come across here and back, so it'd be crisscrossing in the middle here. And then I added these little aluminum carabiners to it. And what that allows me to do is drop this in here. Just pull this up and clip it on. And it's really easy and fast to take on and off, basically. And it stays put. I mean, it's a little bit of movement's okay, but you just don't want it falling out. So that's a clip for that. I put some Gorilla Tape around here where I have where I put the straps, just so the strap wouldn't be hitting this edge and sort of wearing as I drove down the road. That just gives a little bit of cushioning. I got one there, and I put another one at the front. I also built a little sort of heavy-duty bungee, which allows me to quickly connect the front of the kayak up. Just offers a little more stability. And just put that through there, drop that in, and there you go. One other thing, you notice I have a big F350, which is really for pulling other toys. When this is hooked up to the truck and I'm driving down the road, I can't see the trailer at all. It's just so small, it gets lost back there. So I got just a piece of foam here, a little noodle, pool noodle. And these are for marking the road, I think, where it snows. And I cut it down to the height I wanted. And I just slide that in there. And now this is reflective. So when I'm driving, I can see this. I can see from about here up, which just gives me a little more confidence. It's an uneasy feeling driving down the road and not being able to see the kayak back there at all. So that's another little thing. I've got two other things I wanted to show you. I got this from Boondocks. You put the back wheels in, and then this just pops in here. Just a little spring-loaded clip, and that gives you sort of a 3-point wheel thing. You can take some of the weight off, and it makes it a lot easier if you have to move the boat over land for a while, and you can't use your trailer to get to the dock for whatever reason. So that's really useful. Out in the Delta, there's some boat launches that don't have a lot of nearby parking, and it's not really easy to, they're really narrow, and I find it just easier just to go park and then put the wheels on and then hand carry it down to the dock. So that's that. And then the last thing I had here for holding my net, this is a little built-in hole for like a sail, which I don't have a sail, but I got a piece of PVC and a little one of these little Yak Attack, I think, rollers, and I lay my net here. Just lay it up here and drop the handle. Handle kind of fits in tightly here. And I did find that I probably needed another one to stabilize it. Otherwise it sort of tends to slip off. And that gets the net out of your way when you're fishing, lays it down flat so it's easy to cast and things. But you can reach and grab it. I can reach up here from the seat and just grab the handle and twist it out, and it's ready to go. Let me go see if I can find my net, and I'll show you how that fits in there. And by the way, this is a modified. I see a lot of them selling now, these for kayakers especially, where you got kind of a rest for your arm, so it gives you a little more leverage. So I just made this one. I had this net, the handle came to here. I got some PVC, I think 3/4 inch, and just glued it on. Maybe put a screw in there to keep it in place. This is just a piece of rubber, just a fitting for pipe, I think. And I took the handle off of here and slid it on the back as a perfect fit. And this just sits right here. And it makes it really nice, keeps it out of the way, and yet I can still just reach up and grab it in case I need to pull in a fish. And again, I got another one of these that clips on here just to give me a little bit more stability. I probably have to put that a little bit further forward, right there. And that way this isn't going to fall off or anything. This is supposed to float, but who knows. I lost one once that was supposed to float, but it didn't. It sank instantly. All right, last hack. I'm going to talk about my GoPro camera setup because I made some changes. I was having trouble with the batteries and overheating and the memory chips and all of that. So I've been experimenting, and I came up with a pretty good setup right now where I can get video of the entire day without, just turn it on in the morning and forget about it. In fact, I ran a couple of tests and I got more than 8 hours, and that was half. I still only had used half of my capacity up. I don't usually go fishing for any longer than that, so it shouldn't be an issue. Hey, good morning, Fisherman Barry back here. I'm gonna go ahead and go over my rear mounted camera setup because I've made some changes that really give me a ton of capacity. My goal was to mount the rear camera and turn it on and be able to leave it on for the entire day. But that proved really difficult for a few reasons. One, battery capacity was an issue. I have a GoPro Hero 4 Black, by the way, so it's a bit of an older camera, but it still works really well. The batteries would die after an hour or two, even with the extended backpack. Didn't really help that much. And then the memory chip that you put in there, the little SD card. I needed to get a full day. I really needed a 256 gigabyte one, and GoPro says it is not supported. But the truth is, it does work. But there's a bit of a little hack you have to do to get it to work. So I'll go over all of that. But what I did is I found this external battery pack online from Anker, A-N-K-E-R. And again, I'll put the links down below. This is 13,000, I think, milliamp hours. It lasts, I've tested it twice, and it lasted for 8 hours, and it was only half consumed at that point. And that includes the memory chip. I got a 256 gigabyte, and with this pack on there, I got 8 hours of recording, and I could have gone another 8 easily, which is more than I fish for the day. So I like to set it up, turn it on first thing in the morning, and then just forget about it and leave it on all day. It takes a little bit more time doing the editing. When you download the files, it takes about an hour to download them to the computer, and then you gotta sort of click through them really quick to try and locate you know, where you might have caught fish or something else. There's a little remote that you can tag the video with, so I'm going to try that. I have it. It mounts on your wrist, and it has a little button that you just hit, and it puts a tag, a little visual tag on there, so when you're editing, it's easier to find. I'll just hit that after I'm done catching a fish. We'll see how that works. Anyway, this is my setup. So I have this external battery pack, which is you charge it with this little mini USB, but to consume the power, you use it's got 2 regular USBs. So I've got a USB cable here. I got a little waterproof case with a waterproof plug that plugs into the camera. You just plug it in and tighten the thread. It's got a seal on it. Got everything tethered in case I drop it. Some stabilizing shock cord here. Just use some electrical ties to hold that wire in place. So that works fine. Let me show you how I set this up. I'm still waiting on one thing, but mainly you just plug this in, and then I have a little waterproof case here that I put a little notch in one side. So you just lay that in. This is a little Plano, and you just oops, gotta line it up correctly. Make sure that's plugged in good. That's right in the groove, and then you seal that up. It gives you a pretty good seal. I'm getting one of the little Hobie rail mounts with the flat, and I'm going to bolt this to it sort of in a waterproof way, seal it up so that I can just mount this right here. But for now, I'm just going to sit it down here in the kayak. So that's the battery side of it, and again, that's 13,000 milliamp hours. And it'll last you all day. So here's the Hero 4. A couple things to point out. I do have a 256 gigabytes SanDisk Extreme Pro, which is a fairly new one. Supposed to be fast and run cool. That's the other issue with these cameras. If they overheat, they shut off. And a couple of causes for overheating is one is an internal battery. It gives off a lot of heat as it's being used. The backpack, if you use the battery backpack, that gives off a lot of heat. So I've done away with both of those. You don't need an internal battery with this setup because you're going to plug it in right here. And then the other thing that affects temperature is the settings, the frame rate and the number of pixels. What I found is 2K or 1440 at 24 frames per second works really well. I can get a full day on either one of those. If I try to jump to 4K, I get an hour or two at the most, and the warmer the day is, the less time I'll have. So I'm not using, I've got it set for 1440 right now, 24 frames. I'm not using the 4K anymore on this one. So here we go, let's set this up. Just pop this open. That slides right in there like that. You can close that. And then from the side, this is accessible. It works easier if you feed a little cable out first and plug that in really well. And then slide this up and twist it on until you get a good seal. And that's all there is to it. That's the setup for the camera. Now the hack for using the 256 gigabyte, and this is required most of the time. Occasionally you'll get it to work without this, but let me just show you. So turn the camera on. Hope you guys can see that okay. And so you'll see I'm at 1440 24. What I'm going to do is go to the setup and scroll down to format it. Delete everything that's on there, so make sure you copy off whatever you need before you do this. Exit that. Now I'm ready to start recording. Okay, now I'm ready to capture video. I kept saying the commands that were turning off my GoPro 7, so I got to be careful there. I just formatted it. I have not turned the camera off. If you do, and you turn it back on, and you try to record video, most of the time you're gonna get an SD error, and it's not gonna work. So format it, leave it turned on, and then when you're ready to record, just hit the record. And you can see it's recording now. And again, this will go for easily a full day or more. Has the battery capability and has the memory. I'm not sure how well it'll do on a 100-degree summer day. We'll have to wait and see. But I've tested it twice. It's late spring or spring here in California, and temperatures have been running in about 80 degrees. It's supposed to be 90 today, but been running about 80 degrees, and I haven't had any issues with it overheating because of the environment. So that's it for the camera setup. That gives me a pretty good field of view and captures most everything I'm doing, catching any fish. I also have the hat-mounted GoPro Hero 7 Silver, which has the voice commands, and I use that occasionally, typically to do my narration. And the reason I do the narration with this one and not the Hero 4, with that waterproof case that's required on the Hero 4, you can't really pick up sound well. It's very muffled because the microphone's on the inside. But with the Hero 7, they changed it, made the camera itself water resistant, and it picks up sounds really well. So I just mount it on my hat, and usually when I get ready to do a narration, I'll just put the hat on. I don't wear it all the time because it's a little bit heavy and it just feels awkward. But when I want to capture something, I'll put it on, or if I'm catching a lot of fish and I want to capture some on the Hero 7 Silver, I'll put it on. And it's voice controlled. I can tell it to start or stop. And it'll do what I want it to most of the time. So that's it for the hacks on the kayak. If anybody has any questions or suggestions, I'm all ears, and I'll be happy to answer those questions. That's Fisherman Barry signing off.